Welcome back. I want to return to our lead story and some expert analysis now. We've been telling you that the official unemployment rate has declined to 23.3% between April and June this year, dropping from 30.1% in the first quarter. But don't get too excited. There are a lot of variables as far as this is concerned. From PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, economist Christy Viljoen, good afternoon to you and welcome. Nothing here to celebrate, really, given that these numbers are completely skewed by the lockdown.
Yes, most definitely. We've got a very serious economic situation, and these numbers are actually skewed by quite a few interesting statistical issues. We saw a lot of people that were classified as unemployed in the first quarter being seen as not economically active. To be classified as such, you basically need to be available for work, but you're not looking for work. And with lockdown restrictions, people couldn't go out looking for work. So a big chunk of unemployed people were not considered unemployed simply because they were stuck at home. And that's why that unemployment number, the official number, came down so sharply.
What's the real picture then?
Well, the real picture is if you look at the actual number of people working, we saw a decline of 2.2 million jobs. So that means that between, let's say, March and June, 2.2 million jobs were lost. And then if you think of the expanded unemployment rate, which takes into account a bigger part of the statistics, it actually went up to 42% from 39%. So the overall picture is quite terrible. It is a bit masked by that headline number, which looks quite odd. But overall, we've gone from a very serious unemployment situation in 2019 to something even more desperate and serious in the middle of 2020.
I'm seeing some reports this afternoon that are also questioning the validity of the collection of data, that there were problems doing that. And one of the reasons is that the labor force has fallen by 5 million anyway. Are you satisfied then with the veracity of the data?
Well, there are obviously challenges in using this kind of data. Stats SA is quite frank with needing to make changes to their methodology. Previously, you had more people going out physically into South Africa, making recordings and all kinds of statistics. Now, a lot of it has happened online and via telephone. So I'm aware of these challenges. I don't think that this had a very, very big impact on the way these numbers are reflecting. The headline number looks quite strange because of those statistical odd little anomalies. The expanded number has increased, and that's what we would have expected. Maybe it could have increased even more, and it would have looked even worse. But I think the basic message that we can safely get from these numbers would be that 2.2 million South Africans were not working in the second quarter, that were still in their jobs in the first quarter. And some of these will obviously come back in the third quarter with easing lockdown restrictions. Some of those jobs will come back, but the big part of it will not be coming back very easily. We think we can see about 1.5 million jobs lost by the end of this year. And that is very serious. I mean, we've already had millions and millions of unemployed people. So irrespective of exactly how these numbers were collected, the broad message is that our biggest challenge, unemployment, has become even worse. And if we think of where we stand globally, if we look at our expanded unemployment rate, it's probably the highest in the world at this stage.
I haven't had an opportunity to look at the breakdown yet, but what sectors are you worried about?
Well, to be honest, all of the top 10 industries, or the 10 industries that we look at in the breakdown, did lose jobs. Some of them not much. So public utilities, for example, didn't lose many. And most of the others lost a significant amount of numbers. We are definitely concerned, but we need to have perspective. So it is going to be important to balance this with the third quarter numbers. A lot of the job losses in the second quarter were temporary. If we think of manufacturing, construction, for example, many of those operations were shut for 2 to 3 months. And a lot of those people are back to work. Yes, many of them will not be able to go back to work as companies close, as companies downsize. But we need that bit of perspective in the second quarter numbers. So it's going to take some time before we get the full picture of how bad it is. There's a general view that the third quarter is going to look a bit better. But again, we're going to see some strange unemployment rate calculations because many of the people now that couldn't go out looking for a job will be able to do so in the third quarter. They'll then be considered unemployed again. So those numbers will look a bit odd as well.
All right, lots of variables, but whichever way you look at it, it is a dire situation. Christy Viljoen, PricewaterhouseCoopers, thank you. Now,